My name is Thomas Burton. Um, really grateful for this opportunity with New Morning Project to share my story a little bit, my experience, where I'm at with these three children that I found myself in a pretty significant role in their life as I'll be raising them from here forward. There's been a lot inside that I have not had a chance to tell people about, or even some pretty amazing moments that I've had over the last 2 years that let me know that I was doing God's work, that I was doing what He wanted me to do in their life. But before I get into that, a brief introduction to who I am before all this. I was born in Florida in '85, and I grew up an only child. And I had a really good life. I had both my biological parents and my grandmother in my life until I was grown. I never experienced anything bad as far as with my family. So I was really grateful for the life that I had growing up. I was really blessed and didn't know that God gave me such a blessed life growing up so that I could learn how to show that later on in life to these three kids who haven't had the same fortune as me. Grayson, Dalen, and Laylee, they're my grandchildren, my wife's grandchildren, Cindy. And a couple years ago, they lost their mother, and the father hasn't been able to be in their life the way he wants to be. And I've taken a very active role in their life, really since they were born, even before their mother passed. I've always been in their life. When the mother passed away, she's in heaven looking down at them now, but when she passed away, the kids didn't have anybody really but me and Cindy and some extended family. And I struggled for a long time with whether or not I was on the right path, whether I was doing the right thing. Becoming like a father to them and making sure that I could give them everything that they deserved and that they needed. But I had a couple experiences within the last 2 years that really stuck with me, that told me that I was exactly where I was supposed to be and doing exactly what I was supposed to be doing. And the first experience happened, well, I guess it would have been about 3 years ago now. The first one was prior to Becca's death, probably 6 months before she passed away. The kids had been staying with us on and off through the years, and they were with us for a period before they went to Florida, and they were in Florida for a year with her parents. And I started having a couple dreams that I was going to have a very active part in their life. and that one of the parents would no longer be here. And that started to play out as the next 6 months went along. As the mother, she left us, and the kids came to stay with us permanently for a long period of time, and they would come and go every now and then with the biological father. And that situation became more fluid. But as they would be with us for long periods of time, there was a lot of stress, a lot of unrest, and whether or not I could do this without sacrificing the love and the effort that I needed for my wife and for my oldest son. But one day, probably the month after their mom passed away, me and the two boys went to the Waffle House to eat a late lunch. And I'll never forget, this was one of the most incredible experiences for me. You've heard people say that they've encountered angels on earth before, or they've witnessed unexplainable things. Well, that day we were sitting in the Waffle House. Grayson had started asking me a few questions about, now that his mom was gone, did I think that they would be staying with us forever? And I said I didn't really know what would happen. There was a lot of things going on, but if God wanted me to take care of you until you grow up, that's exactly what I want to do. And we had a really fun time there at the Waffle House together. And on the way out, there was an elderly lady. I had never seen her before. I didn't know, to this day, I don't know who she was. But I opened the door for her as the boys walked out, and she came in. She stopped, and she took a step back, and she looked at me with the biggest smile and the biggest, if you looked in her eyes, it was like looking into the universe. And she was probably in her late 80s. And she looked at me, and she put her finger on my chest without knowing me, who I was, without hearing our conversation, because we were leaving and she was coming. And she said, I want you to know you're doing the right thing. Keep going. And for a second, I just agreed. I was like, yeah, thank you. And I started to walk out, and I looked back, and I was overcome with this feeling that you probably could only get from heaven, of perfectness, of joy, of confirmation. And I still think about it every day. And some people might laugh, some people might think that, well, it was just a nice lady, or it was just... There's never been another time in my life, before or after that you could see almost heaven gates in somebody's eyes. It was pretty real. And from that moment forward, I knew that God gave me the life that I was given growing up. And even though I've never had children, it was an opportunity for me to learn to be there for these children in a way that nobody else can be, and to love them and to give them the life that God would want them to know growing up, and to keep fighting no matter what, no matter what comes against you, no matter what things try to destroy that, to give them everything that you have so that they can grow up one day and look back and know that they were loved and know that God cared for them. And that was my experience, because I've thankfully never experienced, tragedies or death in my life, with other than them losing their mother, which I didn't know personally very well. I've never had to deal with that, a loss. And a lot of people have to deal with loss. For me, it was about giving life. Sometimes life is taken from us, but I have an opportunity to give life to 3 wonderful children that deserve it. And I know that day, God sent one of his own angels down to tell me that I was doing the right thing and to keep going. And it feels really, really special to be able to talk about this and to do it here on the New Morning Project, something I've wanted to talk for a long time here since she started. And I'm really grateful for that. And I hope somebody out there, whether you're a child who doesn't have parents or whether you're grown up and you have an opportunity to influence younger lives, let this be an encouragement that look for signs, because one way or another, God will let you know that you're doing the right thing and that you're loved. And not every story has to be about a loss, but sometimes you can give life. And that's very special. So thank you. I hope my story finds somebody that needs it.
I never took that ride, and I wish that God could protect us from the wrong, so that all the soldiers that were sent overseas come home. And we will never break, though they devastate. We shall motivate, and we gotta pray. All we gotta is faith. Instead of thinking about who gon' die today, the Lord is gon' help you feel better, so you ain't gotta cry today.